What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Gio here from the Fandom United podcast. I hope all of you are having a good start to your weekends so far. Hope you had a good work week. Hope it didn't kill you. I'm doing great. You know, it's a great time to be a DC fan. As of this recording, we are 41 days away from Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know what? Let's just start the show, okay? Because we're going to start with some Zack Snyder's Justice League news updates. And it is official. Zack Snyder's Justice League will be rated R. That's right. It came out earlier this week that the cut will have an official R rating for violence and some language. Now, what does this mean exactly? Well, let's start with the violence part. We know Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. Okay, this guy does not hold back with his action, and I mean, just look at Watchmen. Okay, not that this DC universe needs to be that bloody or violent, but I think back to the warehouse fight sequence with Batman, one of the best fight sequences in any comic book movie, and just how violent that was, especially the Ultimate Edition. So the fact that this movie is going to be on streaming, it allows that creative freedom, and it allows Zack Snyder to do the violence that he wants while still being somewhat comic book friendly. One perfect example is we're going to see Wonder Woman cut off Steppenwolf's head, and it might be towing that line of too graphic, too violent. But we're going to be honest. We're going to love it. We're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. So that's the violence. And then some language. Well, it's been reported that Batman will drop at least one F-bomb in the movie. Now, for PG-13 ratings, you're allowed one F-bomb. But more than one is when they throw that R rating on there. So I got a feeling Batman will be saying the F word quite a few times, which, let's be honest, if there was one character amongst the Justice League who would be cursing, it's Batman for sure, right? I mean, look at him compared to the others, everyone else. He's a little bit out of his own league, okay? It's taking on parademons and aliens and Steppenwolf. He's probably like, yeah, I can imagine him dropping an F-bomb the moment he sees Steppenwolf. Okay, but yeah, if there was ever a moment for Batman to use his guns, I know people had problems in BVS. I heard it. I personally didn't have a problem with it. But in this movie, he damn well needs to be using all the guns in the world to be taking on these parademons, these aliens, these otherworldly creatures. So yeah, I am totally expecting Batman to drop a WTF at some point during the 4-hour cut. And if anybody should be cursing, it's definitely him. Speaking of Ben Affleck's Batman, here is behind the scenes image that was released earlier this week. Yep, that is Ben Affleck in the Nightmare Batman costume. And it has been confirmed that this is a photo from the additional photography that was planned after the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And this was Ben Affleck on set for additional photography for the Nightmare sequence. We know Jared Leto's Joker is going to be a part of that Nightmare sequence. And so, you know what? Let's just take a moment to appreciate this, because it was just 2 years ago that he left the role, unfortunately, for a number of reasons. And we never thought we'd see Ben Affleck as Batman again. Nope. And you know what? Thanks to the powers that be, AT&T and Warner Media, and the power of the fandom, we're getting at least two two more appearances from Ben Affleck's Batman. One in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm sure we'll see a whole lot of unseen footage of his portrayal, and then again in Andy Muschietti's The Flash movie, which will um, many believe will adapt the Flashpoint storyline. So, hey, that's two more appearances of Ben Affleck's Batman that we otherwise would not have gotten. So, I am appreciative of it. I still want to see Ben Affleck do his solo project, the script that he wrote, the one that many people have called just amazing. Jay Olivia has called it probably the best piece of content that never saw the light of day as far as the Batman character. So yeah, all the more excited. Batman F bombs, Ben Affleck's Batman. It's gonna be awesome to see. It really is. All right, so the next piece of news in the world of DC is the Suicide Squad. We have an official synopsis. Now we can read along here, and the synopsis goes as follows: Welcome to Hell, a.k.a. Bel Rev, the prison with the highest mortality rate in the U.S. of A, where the worst super villains are kept and where they will do anything to get out, even join a super secret, super shady Task Force X. Today's do or die assignment: assemble a collection of cons including Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Captain Boomerang, Ratcatcher 2, Savant, King Sharp, Blackguard, Javelin, and everyone's favorite psycho, Harley Quinn. Then arm them heavily and drop them literally on the remote enemy-infused island of Corto Malste. Trekking through the jungle teeming with militant adversaries and guerrilla forces at every turn, the squad is on a search and destroy mission with only Colonel Rick Flag on the ground to make them behave, and Amanda Waller's government techies in their ears, tracking their every movement. And as always, one wrong move and they're dead, whether at the hands of their opponents, a teammate, or Waller herself. If anyone's going to lay down bets, the smart money is against them. All of them. Okay, so second paragraph, first line: militant adversaries and guerrilla forces. So it's a confirmation that the antagonists that the squad will be going up against are military forces, ground level troops. And for me, that's a hell of a lot better than them going up against the Enchantress in the first movie. David Ayer has even come out and said that he wishes he would have made Joker the bad guy of that movie. So it's good that they're kind of dialing it back and putting the Suicide Squad on a ground level mission like that. I love what I'm hearing with the synopsis. The fact that some of these bad guys might end up killing each other, because maybe they just can't stand each other. I'm excited about that. If there's one thing that's certain, it's that a lot of people, a lot of these characters who we may grow to like in the movie will die. You know what? That's what the title of the movie suggests. The Suicide Squad. You're gonna see people die. You're gonna see these characters, these villains, get blown up. Some by Amanda Waller, some by probably the guerrilla forces. So it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. James Gunn, R-rated. We're all definitely excited for this. I can imagine. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait for that first trailer. There's rumors that it could be coming in May, which man sounds so far away. But hey, stay patient. Okay, we'll get there for sure. Let me know your thoughts on the Suicide Squad synopsis and which character you are looking forward to the most. Wait, I did forget. James Gunn did come out on Twitter and clarify something as far as the creative process of this movie goes. Here's his tweet. The Suicide Squad is fully finished and cut, and I made every single choice, and they never once even slightly interfered. Well, that's great news. They gave very few notes. They were usually good and minor, and I took them if I wanted to and didn't if I didn't want to. Warner's was creatively amazing. Well, that's a surprise. What makes James Gunn so lucky? And we're gonna get to the next story, which kind of ties into this one right here. But man, I mean, it could be the fact that James Gunn is, a proven director in comic book movies, especially for Marvel. That's huge. It could also be this kind of new regime that's taken over. I mean, yeah, Toby Emmerich is still at the head of this, but with Jeff Johns like largely out of the way, it seems like they're finally living up to what they claim to be, which is filmmaker driven. You wish that Zack Snyder would have gotten that kind of treatment, and maybe his Justice League movie would have came out a couple years ago. But hey, more positive signs that this could be a really really big win for DC. This Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn. It's exciting stuff. Now, why was I so surprised about James Gunn, having all this creative freedom? Well, because our next story for DC ties into the whole creative process at Warner Brothers. Birds of Prey director Cathy Yan came out and spoke about her time doing Birds of Prey, and I have a quote here that I want to read. It was definitely challenging. Dead Pigs, which is an indie film that she did, was such a singular, pure version of myself. And I think when you're dealing with a budget like Birds of Prey had and sort of the pressures of a studio, especially a studio that is undergoing a lot of change, inevitably you end up having to compromise and fight for stuff. And you win some and you lose a lot. It's just kind of how it is. I would have loved to have more control over the edit of Birds of Prey, but that's just kind of how it is. I don't know if there's a Cathy Yan cut out there, but I think for any filmmaker, all of us are in it because we want to express ourselves as wholly as possible and to match what you ultimately see on screen with what's in our head. Yeah, Cathy Yan wishes that she had the James Gunn experience as far as DC goes. Again, it's like, what makes James Gunn so special? And I know the answer. It's a rhetorical question. He's a proven comic book movie filmmaker. He's somebody that they didn't expect Marvel to kind of let go during that time. They struck gold when James Gunn signed on just before Marvel took him back, and now he's going to direct Guardians 3. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, that Cathy Yan, female director, comic book movie. There's always talk of more opportunities and her wishing she had more creative freedom. But you know what? That's just how these studios are with the big budget blockbusters, especially for a character like Harley Quinn, who is of huge importance for this DC franchise. They're definitely gonna have a say. They're definitely gonna give notes, and I think there needs to be a healthy balance of studio input and letting the director also make their movie. That's why you sign them on, as because you believe in their vision and you want to see their movie. A good example of that is George Lucas, with The Phantom Menace. If you recall, nobody wanted to say no to him. Everyone was like, yes, in his ear, yes, do this, yes, do that. Because how are you going to tell the creator of Star Wars what's best for his creation? I mean, that was the mindset back then. And obviously, we saw how that worked out. So I think there needs to be like a healthy balance between studio and filmmakers. In Zack Snyder's case, they didn't believe him from the moment the camera started rolling for Justice League. If it wasn't for them being so deep into pre-production and starting that and sticking with their timeline for, let's just call it, financial reasons, um, they probably would have let Snyder go, and we don't get the Snyder cut. And it's just, Warner Brothers during that time, that's an old regime that some of it unfortunately still exists in Warner Brothers. But during that time, yeah, they didn't know what the hell they were doing, clearly. But hey, you know what? I like Birds of Prey. It wasn't anything too spectacular for me. I always want to see more of Harley Quinn with the Joker. I just think we haven't gotten enough of that on screen live action. But I can definitely see what Cathy Yan is saying here, and who knows? They're not Warner Brothers is not gonna stop doing more Harley Quinn content. That's one of their aces. So maybe Cathy Yan comes back and she knows what she's getting into now, and maybe a little bit more experienced and a little bit more proven. She'll get a little bit more creative freedom. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on that whole creative process and filmmakers and studio and whatnot. I definitely appreciate the conversation. All right, it's time to move on to a segment that I call Another News, which is news outside of DC and Hollywood that I find interesting. And I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan. I am. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but boy, do I love the prequels. I love the prequels. I love the original trilogy. The sequel trilogy is okay, but I have a little news bit here that I want to share regarding the sequel trilogy. So one of the most forced forced on-screen couples, which I don't even know if you can call them a couple because all they did was kiss, was Kylo Ren and Rey Skywalker sharing a kiss in Rise of Skywalker. And no, I'm sorry, not the director, a USA Today writer got the chance to speak with Daisy Ridley and revealed that there was only really two options with that moment in Rise of Skywalker. Here's the tweet right here from Sarah Wilson. ReyLo fans, Daisy says the only two possible Rise of Skywalker endings was kiss or no kiss. She said Ben dying was the only thing that never changed from the beginning, and that there was no dialogue in the kiss scene other than Ben and her saying, no, 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 when he died. Now, in case you didn't remember, yeah, this moment in Rise of Skywalker, where Rey decides all of a sudden she's attracted to the guy who, murdered his father, almost killed his mother, slaughtered a whole bunch of Jedi, killed a whole lot of civilians in the galaxy. Yeah, no, I'm totally into that, says Rey. That's just poor writing right there. Okay. There's a lot of things that's wrong with the sequel trilogy. It's infamously reported that Rise of Skywalker, there was a lot of rewrites and stuff going on during the production. It was definitely a mess, but I thought Rey and that Finn character in the sequel trilogy had a lot more chemistry than Rey and Kylo, or Rey and who's that? Who's that pilot guy? Oscar Isaac, Poe. I mean, I thought it was clear the chemistry was jumping off the charts with Rey and Finn, um, but they decided to give the fans what they wanted, which was Rey and Kylo Ren. And the Rise of Skywalker, it's very much you know for the fans movie, I guess. Even though, yeah, that's great. It's definitely. I mean, Snyder cut here for the fans, obviously. But when you make that your top priority over, like making a good movie, then that's what you get. And I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once. I have yet to revisit it. I don't know if I will revisit it ever again. Um, and I get that they establish some sort of relationship between Rey and Kylo in The Last Jedi. I mean, that was probably some of the best parts of that movie. But at the very end, yeah, there was they kind of wrapped that up. I mean, she tried to get him to, come back to the light side. She really believed that when he killed Snoke. Spoiler. And he tried to get her to join the dark side, and they couldn't come to terms. And so they decided, the writers decided to make them kiss in Rise of Skywalker. I don't understand it. Okay. And I'm all for, these on-screen relationships and these big budget blockbusters. I am. That's why I'm talking about this. I mean, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts and Iron Man and those Iron Man movies. You got Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter. What are some other examples? You got Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Come on now. So when it's done right, you can definitely do this, but you can definitely, explore those relationships on screen. But that was just, I don't know what the hell that was in the sequel trilogy, Star Wars. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Star Wars is on the up; it's on the rise. I love what they're doing at Lucasfilm. Looking forward to The Acolyte. I love Patty Jenkins directing a Rogue Squadron movie. If you haven't seen that little teaser trailer online, look it up. It's great stuff. And wouldn't it be cool if Zack Snyder directed something for Star Wars? That'd be awesome. Anyways, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on the Fandom United podcast. I really do appreciate it. I hope all of you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your subscription. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully we get some DC trailers during the Super Bowl. It's going to be exciting. I'll definitely be doing some trailer reactions. So come back for that. Until then, you all be safe and have a great weekend.